Just a few boneheaded, walking, talking Neanderthals. Well, are you ready?
I think so. I don't quite understand what we're doing, but I'm here for it.
We're just, we're talking.
Like we normally do?
Yeah. Like, the original intention of starting this podcast is to have something to look back upon and for our kids to look back on.
Kind of like a journal?
Like a journal, yeah.
But
it's like a journal, but like with multiple people in it.
A conversational journal.
Conversational journal.
Okay.
Is that a real thing?
Probably.
So, do you have anything to say to our future kids? This, by the way, is my wife, Sarah.
Hi, future children.
That's it?
Well, gathering my thoughts.
Okay.
What was it that we weren't allowed to talk about until we started the podcast?
I don't remember. We should have written it down. There's actually a couple things where I was like, I'm going to sway away from this conversation so we can do it when the podcast comes, and I can't remember any of it.
Well, I brought up how I find it annoying that there's a lot of focus on interior design, but I like it when interior design and architecture match, except architecture is really expensive, so you don't really get to have a lot of input on what the design of a house looks like, even though in any kind of like affordable way, in the same way that you can with interior design.
Yeah, it wasn't that, because I don't have
that?
anything to say about that.
Okay. I
feel like we should move the mic like in between us somehow. That'll be okay there. Just try and be as close as you can. Here.
Thank you.
What's there? This is the most romantic podcast ever.
For future children listening, Jake and I are staring into each other's eyes with my feet up on his lap.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the concert?
We went to a concert. We went to a Robert Earl Keen concert.
It was really cool.
And if you don't know who Robert Earl Keen is, you're no child of mine.
Nice catch.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it.
What was your favorite part?
I think my favorite part is I felt like we went on a true vacation without any of the
Without our
stress
dogs
of a true vacation. Like, one, we got to leave the dogs at home with somebody we trusted, which was really nice. But two, it wasn't in Amarillo. So, we got to,
get a hotel.
Definitely be in a different place, which can be fun.
Yeah.
But it was close by. So there wasn't the whole stress of a long car trip to go with it.
Yeah, it was about 3 hours?
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours from where we live. So it was in Midland, Texas. And we live in Amarillo, Texas.
Yes.
And there's nothing in between there.
There's Lubbock.
Yeah, there's towns, but it's just wide open, either prairie or farmland. Mostly farmland.
Yeah.
It is not a scenic drive.
No, but we gotta listen to podcasts. We gotta chit chat, but it wasn't a long drive, you know. The drives to Corpus are a long drive.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. This was you still got a little bit of the road trip aspect without that time.
Super long.
Yeah, where you're just sitting in the car and you're like,
tripping.
can't believe we're still.
Your butt starts to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a little bit of the road trip aspect. We got stay the night in a hotel, which is just like nice for the novelty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're gonna bring Tim on? No. I enjoyed the concert. I enjoyed the different singers. I do wish we had brought chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the end, it wound up being like totally okay, because we went up and stood at the front for like the part we actually cared about.
Yeah. But by then, my feet hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But I would have been worried like the whole time that our chairs were gonna get stolen.
we have pretty cheap chairs.
I know, but I worry about these kind of things.
Yeah.
So your favorite part of the concert was it was a vacation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we got even us just walking around town was kind of nice.
Yeah.
A little bit novel. We got to kill a little bit of time. Got to look at different houses.
Yeah.
The concert was good. The food was good.
And it was like reasonably. It was $10 for like a good sized.
Yeah. Barbecue meal.
Barbecue meal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
like
flat $10, no tax.
No tax. And the tickets weren't expensive. I mean, that expensive either.
They're like $50.
They were $50 per ticket, which
isn't actually expensive.
No.
It feels expensive to a poor gentleman like me.
Yeah.
But they're not expensive.
They weren't expensive tickets.
And this is Robert O'Keen's last tour.
Yeah.
So that
makes it feel a little extra special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you? So we didn't see the first band.
No.
Which we didn't really care about.
No, we didn't know any of their songs.
No. And the second guy, you liked him.
Josh Bowman, yeah, I thought he did. I enjoyed listening to him.
I wasn't crazy about him.
And then there is
William Clark Green.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Really liked William Clark Green.
Yeah. They
did the little Eagles tribute.
Yeah, they did Eagles and then Rolling Stone and Beatles.
Yeah, for the She Likes the Beatles song.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute and clever.
Yeah. And then was, what's his name?
Josh Abbott.
Josh Abbott.
And I didn't like him.
Nobody likes Josh Abbott.
There are
most of the crowd didn't even seem to like Josh Abbott. Like when William Clark Green was out there, everybody's singing along and having a good time.
Yeah.
And then Josh Abbott came out, and everyone just kind of started talking to each other for the most part, other than his two really popular songs that he sang. It looked like most people are just talking to each other.
I wasn't paying attention to.
But I also may have just been looking at that through supremely biased eyes. Yeah.
Where you're like, I don't like this person.
Yeah, because I was singing and having a good time when William Clark Green was out there, and then I was like, looking around like, they all agree with me.
While you weren't looking around while you were singing along.
Yeah.
Was that really your band?
And then Robert O'Keen came out, and that was the Supreme.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was really good. He sounds really good.
He sounds just like he sounds on record.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. No auto-tune for that man.
And I think that's part of his draw, his appeal, is his voice is it's not perfect at all.
No, and it's very distinct.
Yeah.
Like you hear him and you're like, that is Robert Earl King.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's very imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the reason that makes him so likable, unique, good. Whereas Josh Abbott, his voice was probably really, really good, but it all just was, there's nothing to it. There's no layers to his voice.
Interesting.
Yeah, layers. They make music sound good.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you why I didn't like Josh Abbott. It was just
all.
It really it blended all together. His voice and the guitars and nothing felt like a distinct sound.
Yeah.
While the other two I felt like had very distinct sounds to them.
Yeah. I'll show you what I mean by layers.
Okay.
This. Let me find it.
I was listening to a pop song the other day.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be cool if you did a scream version of it.
Let me see if this is it. Alright. So this, for the listener, is me singing a song that is very uncomfortably out of my range. But it has a spot that really, I think, represents layers well. And I'm going to switch the headphones over to Sarah so she can hear.
Is it going to be really loud?
No. So I'm going to mute. Mute. Okay? So you've got this. Right? And that sounds fine. That's very much in my range. Okay. Then you've got this. That sounds terrible. Right?
It's not good.
That is awful. And then there's this, which I believe is my falsetto.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also not good, but it's alright. But then you add them all together. And it's like a good sound.
It's a good sound, yeah.
So, that's what I mean by layers.
How do you achieve layers when you only have one singer?
I think that's what I mean by like Robert Earl's. So like in this middle layer that severely, not even imperfect, just wrong layer.
Yeah.
That adds to what is the volume of it? Not loudness, but width, like
the depth.
The girth.
Oh, okay.
The fatness to it. Huh. And so I think with those imperfections that Robert Earl Keen gives, that adds to like the girth of his voice.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay. I think I kind of got
it. It adds something to it.
Something else that we didn't say is that we went up for my birthday.
Yeah, it was Sarah's birthday, and that's why we were there.
I'm 26. We're 26.
We are 26. How does that feel? How does that make you feel?
I feel like I've been living the life of an adult since we were 21, since we got married and whatnot. But now I feel like my age matches my lifestyle, which is a little bit of a weird feeling. Like, I'm in my late 20s now. Or at the very least, I will be next year.
Most people are like starting to like seriously date or get married at this age. It feels like.
Yeah.
We got married young. How do you feel about that? I don't know, why is that like that? How do you feel about that?
I still think it was a good decision on our part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we made the right call for us.
Yeah.
I think...
Expand upon that.
I think the older I get, the more I realize that there's no one right way to do a relationship. And like, when I was younger, I definitely did. I definitely thought like, you should do X, Y, and Z, and then you'll be...
You totally did.
Yeah.
Because like, well, first off, I waited a long time to kiss you.
Oh, you waited like 2 to 3 weeks to kiss me, and I was so nervous that you were one of those boys who like wanted to wait till marriage to kiss somebody. I was like, I don't want to wait till marriage to kiss you.
And then you said I love you first.
I did.
But because I coaxed it out of you,
Because I was, like, ready to say I love you, like, from day one, probably. And
I was like...
And I would, like, you know, ask every once in a while, like, when do you think is, you know, the right time for people to say I love you? And you're like, oh, probably...
a year.
You're like 6 months in the relationship or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I love you now. I didn't say that, but I was thinking that. And so I waited for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that we could say it at the same time.
You're just waiting for me to catch up.
Yeah, and then
well, I remember that I said it earlier than I thought.
Yeah, you did.
I did. That was like,
like you did,
quote unquote appropriate.
Yeah, you said it before you thought was appropriate. And
I remember thinking like one, I'm eating my words, and two, I'm really glad that Jake said it back. And like, you know, didn't agree with my logic there or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then you thought, like, I would have married you after you said I love you, and then not exactly then, but you know what I mean. And then you wanted to wait until we were at least 21.
Okay, I still stand by.
Hey, look,
us.
It was all good decisions.
Yeah.
You're a smart gal.
Thank you. Like, maybe, like, 21 is a little bit arbitrary. I did want to be able to drink.
Which we didn't do.
Which we didn't do, but we did.
We did do on the cruise.
Yeah, we did do on the honeymoon. But I mainly wanted to be done with school.
Yeah.
And
Which
think
you're not done with.
No, but I didn't want us to be long distance and like married. Which we've done anyways. So I guess that's just out the window.
Yeah.
Woo!
Everything Sarah wants, gone. Thought she wanted.
Thought I wanted, gone, yeah. But, like, I wanted to be done with undergrad because I didn't want us to be long distance while we were married. I thought that was weird. And then I'm still in school and we have been long distance while we're married, so. Yeah. So like I said, I've grown a lot since, you know, I was 18 and 19 and I thought that relationships had an XYZ and one right way to do things, and now I'm just kind of like, yeah, like, this is what worked for me. It could very well not work for you.
Do you have any marriage advice for our children? Or anyone listening?
For anyone?
Matt, who is our one listener.
Is Matt listening to this?
No, he's not currently. He listens to the podcast though on YouTube.
Oh, I should start listening. Yeah. I think the marriage advice that's worked best for us is that we are willing to talk about everything in a non-judgmental, like, open way.
Yeah.
And that's worked really well for us. But I've also learned that, like, I need to respect and let go of when you don't want to talk about things until you're A, either ready to talk about them, or B, you've decided that it's not important enough to have a conversation about, and I need to trust your judgment on that. Because that was something that when we first got married, I'd be like, oh, you're upset, let's talk about it. And you'd be like, I don't want to talk about it. I'd be like, no, we need to talk about it, we need to work through it. And then you tell me what you're upset about, and you're like, I'd be like, well, that's kind of dumb. And you're like, I know, that's why I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucy, be quiet. Sorry. I was picking at something on her knee.
Now it's bothering me. So, you know, what's worked really well for us is having that
open communication.
Open communication, just us, like, because we've talked about stuff that, like, we just will not really talk about with other people because it will, like, we're like, people will judge us, or think poorly of us or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have that with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And
We already think so poorly of each
exactly.
other. Can't get anywhere.
It's rock bottom. Can only go up from here.
So it's got its ups and downs, but it never goes any further down.
For the listeners, I don't think that's actually true.
It's not true. Definitely not true.
We think highly of each other.
Yes.
Very much love each other and think well of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just to clarify.
So, babies.
Your
How many-
family's
how many-
ready for them.
How many do you want?
I'm willing.
Wait, when you were younger, how old did you want to be before you had your first child? Because it's late in life, I know it is. Never. Probably never.
I would, when I was like a teenager and I started seriously thinking about having kids, I was like, I don't know if I want kids because I think I'd be a bad mom. That was something that like I started thinking when I was probably like 15.
Why would you be a bad mom?
I don't know exactly what it was. I was just pretty convinced I would like fuck a kid up.
Don't say anything on here that you wouldn't want others hearing. Just
okay.
Putting that out there.
Yeah. Like I wasn't worried about me being like abusive or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just, you know, like you know, saying the wrong thing or raising the wrong way or like not being in tune with the signs. Like I'm not the best with people. It's not my skill set. Getting a PhD in pharmaceutical science, not sociology and psychology. Like so and I've been the way that I am for a while. So I think I was just really concerned that like I would be really bad with children and that I wouldn't be able to raise them properly and that like they just wouldn't be happy. You know?
Yeah. And then as time went on, we decided kids would be like okay because I wanted kids.
Yes.
And then how what age did you want to have kids then? I'm pretty sure it was in your like 30s.
Probably.
Yeah.
I wanted to be done with school, and I still want to be done with school. That's very important to me, because this would be so hard if I had kids while I was in school. This would be so hard. So like one of the big things was just being done with school, but also it was something that like I was like, yeah, like I'm open to doing this, but like I don't want to do it anytime soon. You know. Like, you know, there's some people who are like, I want kids. I want to have a baby. I want to be pregnant. It's this whole thing. But, like, I was like, that is not me. So, like, I'm, you know, I'm open to this. I'll have kids someday. And as I'm 26, that day is rapidly approaching.
High five to that!
Reluctant high five to that. But, like, my turning point of being like, okay, I'm actually cool with me having kids is when we had that like adoption maybe happen with my cousin. So do
you want to explain that for anyone listening as much as you'd like to explain it?
Yeah, sure. There was a familial situation that my mom was like, hey, for
not immediate family.
No, extended family. Like one of your cousins, their his wife is pregnant and like adoption may be on the table. And you know, I was just wondering if you would be open to that. You, Sarah, would be open to that, like, if it came down to it. And you and I talked about it, and, like, I just came to, like, this realization that, like, I'm going to love a child, a baby. Like, I would love them deeply.
Yeah.
And, like, completely, you know? And if I know that about a child who is, like, not born, very potentially not mine, like, all those things, then I'm going to be a fine mom. Like, I will do my best. I will definitely mess up in some ways, and the kid's gonna have to work through that and whatnot. But they will know that they are loved, and, like, if I do that, then they're, like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that happened when, I don't know, that was maybe around 2019. So.
It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. I think it was around 3 years ago.
I bet it was 20. Did you just say 2019?
Yeah.
I bet it was like 2020 at least.
2020?
Yeah.
I don't think.
Maybe even 2020. No, maybe 2020. Yeah.
Oh no, it was 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 2020. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made you watch a video not that long ago.
Yes, you did. It was a highly unpleasant video.
And it was a video of a grizzly bear capturing a cub that ran away from its den, and you couldn't see it killing it, but you know
could hear it.
It was crying, like screaming, and then the mother and the other two cubs ran away while it was being finished off. But it didn't ever like finish off. Like it never stopped.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I am kind of upset that you had me watch the video.
Yeah.
I don't think it particularly added anything to my life, and it just kind of made me sad.
Which is what you said, and I said I think that it's important to know how like cruel nature is. I feel like we're so far removed from that aspect of life.
Yes.
I feel like it's important to understand that.
The reason that we removed ourselves.
Exist. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and I agree with that.
It's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant. And I think that that's especially important to remember when we're, like, I think as a culture, we're trying to move forward into, like, greener, more, like, eco-friendly, living one with nature kind of thing. And it's important to remember that nature's,
like, living one with nature is not pretty.
No, it's not.
It's very violent.
Yeah. And, like, if you want to live one with nature, like, you better make sure that you can survive the predators.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I follow a Instagram page called Nature is Metal.
yeah, I'm never super happy when you send me those videos.
Yeah, but I follow it because it's like a good reminder all the time of how terrible it can be.
That's true.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are much more in tune and connected with nature than I am.
Yeah, it's because I'm Choctaw Cherokee. Oh, I can't talk about that. Never mind. Yeah. In the car ride back, we were talking about like hunting and how you say, or I say, like I enjoy killing things. But, like, not in, like, the psychopath kind of way.
Well, yeah, but it's because you enjoy killing things within a certain, like, other factors have to be reached. Like,
right.
If someone came up to you with an animal and had you shoot it or slit its throat.
That's not enjoyable.
That's not enjoyable.
But it's the fact that all these things have to line up and the kill itself is, like, the reward.
You should expand on those things.
So, like, if you're quail hunting with a dog specifically, we'll add another, like, factor in there. you have to have trained that dog to, listen to your commands, not just flush the birds immediately, stay within like a decent range of you so you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
So that dog has to find those birds and hold still and watch like that area where it smells the birds at. Wait for you to get there so you can kick up the birds, and then this explosion happens of birds. Mm-hmm. And you have to pick a single bird out, pull your shotgun up, flip off your safe at the same time, pull the trigger, and shoot a single bird.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of things that you have to do just like that.
Yeah.
And the bird dying is like the physical trophy of all of these things coming together, like all of this skill coming together.
Yeah. And you're also like, you're outdoors.
You're out in nature. You're doing what you like. In the first place, you're out doing what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Which is like being outdoors. But I don't just hike outdoors.
No.
I need a specific purpose to go hiking.
Yes, you hate hiking.
Whether it be dog training or whatever, but I need a reason or a destination.
Yeah, just walking around outside just to walk around outside does not do it for you.
It's okay sometimes. Off trail, it's okay. When it's just like following a trail, what's the point? What's the point? This has been done millions of times. Nobody cares. It's kind of like, okay, not to knock people that climb Mount Yosemite. It's hard, okay? But nowadays, you've got like a Sherpa up front, Sherpa in the back, and a Congo line of people ensuring that you get to the top.
People still die doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it is so, like, as an example, it is just so not what it was. And it's kind of like hiking a trail is just kind of like that for me. It's like, this is no different than, it's better than walking on the road, but it's no different than just walking down the road.
Yeah, I mean, but for me, sometimes just, like, going on a walk, and especially going on a walk with somebody.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I do that.
Yeah.
Or, like, going on a walk and, like, listening to music or a podcast, just, like, it's just enjoyable. It's a nice activity in the same way that, like, reading a book or painting is a nice activity to do. It's a matter of taste.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. But like something that me and my mom really like to do is, like, we'll go for a walk together, and we could go to the gym, get on treadmills, and walk and talk next, go and do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't as enjoyable as going down to the seawall and walking and talking. One, because, like, you can form, like, a physical connection of, like, holding hands or linking arms or something like that. So that's nice. And then two, it's, like, it's a nice scenery. Like, there's the beach and the wind and there's good smells and all that kind of stuff. And maybe there's a sunset or a sunrise, or it's just, and, like, moving around feels good. So the walking aspect as well, because you could be sitting and talking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all around, it just takes different aspects which are enjoyable of, like, exercise, nature, companionship, and it puts it all together. Yeah.
I understand. So, we're coming up to a point in our lives where we're going to have to make some big decisions about where we're going to live.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if I get jobs.
Maybe. Well, even
if
regardless.
I'm hireable.
You're hireable somewhere.
Somewhere, that's true.
But currently,
someone will give me a job.
Currently, our options, possible options, are Abilene, which is your last choice.
Yeah.
Is Galveston even an option?
It is if I don't get any other job.
Okay, so that's your last choice.
I guess so.
Alright, so Galveston, my first choice. Abilene, your second to last, my second. And then Idaho,
Boise, Idaho.
which is your first.
Boise,
Not sure?
Boise, Idaho, and Jefferson City, Missouri are really tied for me. I would be very happy to work. Okay, so it's not the place; it's the job that matters most to me.
Okay.
So like if you make a
Explain what the jobs are going to be at each one of these places.
Okay, so.
Well, okay, we'll first finish by saying Missouri is the other place.
Yes, Jefferson City, Missouri.
Okay, and so in Missouri and Idaho, what would you be doing?
A science policy fellowship in.
What is that?
So it's different depending on which state you end up going to. In Missouri, what you do is state legislators will ask for information on a bill that's being proposed, and you do research on the topic of that bill, and you basically say, hey, here's what the science says about this topic. So, like, the topic can be things like access to HIV preventative drugs, and who, like, if the bill restricts access, what would the effects be? If the bill increases access, what would the effects be? And, you know, what have other states done? And, you know, what is the basically, like, what does the science say about this topic?
Yeah.
And I think it's a really cool program. It's nonpartisan, so people from both parties can request information on the bill, and the information that you create a science note about the bill, and that science note becomes publicly available for anybody who wants to see it. So legislators on both sides, as well as just, you know, general residents and citizens, so they can have an idea of, like, what bills mean. Because bills are complicated. Like, they're not easy to read, and these science notes are designed to be easy to read and, like, digestible for, you know, for anybody. So I think it's a really cool fellowship, and it connects science to policy making, which I think is really important. And then the Idaho fellowship, what they have two branches, the executive branch and the legislative branch. And the legislative is a completely new branch, so they don't actually know what it looks like yet. It might look like something that's like what's happening in Missouri, but it might look different.
Which you don't really want to do.
Which I don't really want to do. I'm not super interested in
defining roles.
Exactly. Or, like, establishing a program. I'm more interested in going into an established program and, like, growing from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, establishing things is hard, and I'm not very good at it.
Unenjoyable.
Yeah. Like, I know there are some people out there who really enjoy it. They enjoy the freedom of it, and, like, they feel like they're really good at it. I'm not. And the other roles are executive. So they put you in different executive departments. So that could be like Health and Human Services, or the Department of, like, Housing and Transportation, or it could be the Fish and Wildlife Service at the state level. And you basically do whatever you can to help them in, like, a science kind of way. So whether that is like you could, like, work on projects that
I don't think that would be the Fish and Wildlife Service, by the way.
No? What is...
So, like, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, I think, is, like, federal government.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Okay, so you could work for... I could work for
Whatever.
Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I think there you get assigned, like, a project to work on. So I talked to one of the alumni, and she worked for the Department of Energy, and what her project was updating the grid for an emergency, and, like, what like creating a plan to update the grid for an emergency. So what, like, what are the steps that need to be done to make sure that in Idaho they don't have something with, they don't have a power failure like what happened in Texas.
Yeah. What does your degree have to do with this?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Like, outside of the fact that I'm a PhD and you're required to have a PhD for this job, it's, like, it's this, they're looking for, like, the skills that you developed as a PhD of, like, project management, being able to look at things critically.
That's so racist.
What?
Nothing.
So.
Just because I'm drunk, I'm drinking.
Just because what?
Nothing.
And, what was I saying?
You were talking about the Idaho branch.
Oh, why being a PhD is required.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's about the skills that you developed as a PhD. It's just trying to connect scientists to policy making and being able to, like, really importantly, communicate science.
Yeah.
Because that is its own skill set of being able to read scientific articles, figure out what's legitimate out there, consolidate that information, and communicate it in a way that somebody who's not a scientist can understand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's...
Oh, what about Abilene?
Abilene is a teaching position. So I would potentially work as a... I think the position title is instructor. I would work as an instructor in Abilene, running the compounding lab there, primarily.
Galveston?
Galveston would be a postdoc at an inflammatory bowel disease lab.
Which you know a lot about.
Which I know a lot about.
You don't seem excited to know a lot about it.
It's fine. Like, I've enjoyed learning a lot about inflammatory bowel disease, about, like, the chronic disease community, about, like, how your gut works and how your body works.
I get this question a lot when I tell people what you do.
Yeah.
I tell them do you work IBD?
Yes.
Yeah. And they say, well, what's the difference between IBS and IBD? And I tell them that IBD, irritable bowel disease,
Inflammatory bowel disease.
There's like physical evidence that it exists, whereas inflammatory bowel syndrome,
irritable bowel syndrome,
there's no evidence that it's there other than the patient feels it.
Yes. So people with IBS and IBD will have the same symptoms, but when they do, like, colonoscopies and biopsies, people with IBD will have, like, physical evidence of inflammation.
So the same symptoms as far as feel.
Yes. So, like, you'll have, like, diarrhea, constipation, bloody stool, pain, like pain in the gut, joint pain, fatigue, you can lose a lot of weight. Like, it's a really bad disease to have.
Yeah.
But when they do a biopsy, people with IBD, you'll see changes in the gut of, like, you can see signs of inflammation. So, like, your gut's, like, all packed in together, and, like, sometimes, like, holes can be created, like, pockets in your gut, and sometimes, like, the gut will connect to each other in ways that it shouldn't. So your gut should be, like, a single tube, right?
Right.
And sometimes really bad inflammation, that the walls kind of open up and they join to other parts of the walls that they shouldn't
They actually
be joined
grow together?
they like fuse together.
Huh.
It's not good.
It's weird.
And then, like, guts have specific architecture,
Right.
where, like, you have, like, hills and valleys, and that will kind of fall apart. It'll degrade, and you won't have really defined hills and valleys with inflammation.
Interesting.
Yeah, and you'll see things like that in IBD, but you won't see things like that in IBS. So, and IBS is also more strongly tied to mental health. So, like, you don't, like, you do see, like, a correlation of things like depression and anxiety if you have a chronic disease, but that's more because you have a chronic disease.
Yeah.
Versus you see a stronger correlation in IBS, where, like, if you manage to treat the depression and anxiety, that also helps alleviate the symptoms that you have in IBS. I think. I don't study IBS, so I don't really know. But I do know that there is a stronger correlation between the two, and I think if you work on the mental side of things, the physical symptoms can relieve.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that, it potentially it won't relieve.
But could.
In a way that won't happen with IBD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It is really interesting. And, like, I've enjoyed learning about IBD.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't enjoyed doing research about IBD.
Yeah, but there's other factors that play into that.
There is, but just doing benchtop research is
Boring.
on its own a little boring. It's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy learning about the topic more than I enjoy doing things related to the topic,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I enjoy learning about science and I enjoy talking about science. I don't really enjoy doing science. Yeah. So, an important learning lesson for me over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I had to do science for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, sometimes you don't know what you like until you do something.
It's true.
And I think that's really valuable. Like, I didn't go into PhD research being like, I don't like research, but I want my PhD. I was like, I think I could potentially really enjoy doing this,
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't. And that's okay. Like, that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
You disagree?
No. No.
What? We could talk about your job, your thoughts and feelings on working and whatnot.
I have no thoughts and feelings.
No thoughts or feelings?
None at all. No. How do you feel about hunting?
I'm glad you like it. I support you in your hobbies.
Expand upon that further.
You have a lot of hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Like you...
Ooh, I know what we can talk about.
What?
Why do you think I have ADHD?
Oh.
Children, currently, I am undiagnosed.
Yes.
Your mother thinks I have ADHD.
Yes.
I already have dysgraphia.
Yes.
Which, there is a correlation between people who have ADHD and dysgraphia.
Yes.
And also anxiety and other things, but...
Yes.
You think I have ADHD?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, well, like, one...
Without exposing me too hard.
Well, the first time anything struck was we were talking with Thomas, and you were like, I have dysgraphia, and Thomas was like, I have dysgraphia too. And I was like, wow, that's goofy that you both have dysgraphia. And then Thomas also has ADHD. And I was like, okay, that's a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Thomas was the first person that I met who also had dysgraphia. But I didn't think much of it after that. And then we were watching Instagram together one day, and a post happened to come up. I don't even really remember what the post was about anymore. But
I have a hard time with those posts because they're just too relatable. But I think they're too relatable for a mass audience. That's why they're so popular.
I do kind of understand where you're getting at with that. But I do think that ADHD awareness is just kind of on the rise in the past more recently, you know? Like, at first, parents became more aware of ADHD kind of when we were kids, you know? Of like, oh, this is a thing that kids can have, right? And then I think with the rise of social media, like, everything has kind of been getting more attention, and if you happen upon it, you can be like, oh yeah, like, this is my group, this is my, like, I fit into this, whether it's art or hunting or chronic disease or ADHD or PhD or, you know, or arborist, you know? Like, there is a group online about it, whatever it is. Yeah. So I think I don't think that the posts that we see are designed to be like appealing to everybody, because if I didn't know you, like if we weren't married, I would have seen that post and been like, I don't relate to that, and moved on. In the same way that, like, I'll see posts about people who have chronic disease, and like the only reason I'm really interested is because I study a chronic disease, because otherwise I kind of be like, I don't really relate to this, and move on. So I think the fact that you relate to them and you're like, there's no way that this is about me, they're meant to be relatable.
I think it's self-denial.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't relate to, because I don't relate to them, you know? Like, there might be a post or two where I'm like, oh yeah, like, I struggle with feeling motivated sometimes, or whatever it is. But not in the same way where I see a post, I'm like, that's Jake. That's Jake. That's Jake.
So, like, what do I do that makes you think I have ADHD?
You hyperfocus on things.
Give an example of what that is.
Hyperfocus is when,
like, what do I do?
You can just, like, when it comes to your hobbies, you can just zone in for hours. Like you won't eat or drink all day, or like you like have to run to the bathroom because you've been holding it for 2 hours because you're so in the zone of whatever it is. And it tends to be your hobbies of like music or art or making lures or whatever it is. You just really in it. You're really bad at school. And like, I know you're a smart person. Like, I know this in my heart, in my head.
Sure.
I think you're very smart.
It's a coping mechanism.
But you're really bad at school. Like you can't focus. Even when you want to focus, you can't focus. And I know because I've tried to help you study before. Where you're like, you want to do well in class.
Yeah.
And I know this because you never skip class. You're always on time. You, like...
Early, actually.
You're early. You, like, you know... You study hard for the tests. Like, when you write papers, you have so many people edit them. Like, you try really hard.
I just feel like my papers turn out really well.
Yeah, and it's probably because you have a decent amount of time and you work on editing and all that kind of stuff. But, like, you're just bad at school, which I think has a lot to do with the fact that you cannot focus even if you want to, which is an ADHD thing. Sometimes you get in, like, I can't do things mode, where, like, sometimes I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this thing of, like, I don't want to do the dishes, or I don't want to go to the gym, but I can. You cannot. Like, you'll just be sitting there like, I know I need to do this thing. I want to get this thing done, but I cannot do this thing. In a way that, like, I always just kind of thought you were being lazy, of like, Jake, like, I need you to, like, pick up these clothes or whatever. And you're like, I know, Sarah, like, I'll do it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just don't do it. I'm like, Jake, just, like, please, like, it will take you a minute, just do the thing. And you're like, I can't. Like, I cannot do this thing right now. And I never understood it until I started seeing videos where I'm like, oh, maybe that's what's happening.
I still don't understand. I still think I'm just being lazy.
Maybe I'm wrong, but, like, I'll see videos of people who have diagnosed ADHD just talking about their life experiences of, like, things that they do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, Jake does that. You do a lot of audio things as well, where you just start making really random noises.
They're not intentional.
Yes. But, yeah, you do that. You do a lot of accents.
I do a lot of accents.
You do a lot of accents. I think one part that, like, really tripped me up was, like, a lot of people with ADHD talked about, like, how they struggle with impulsivity, of, like,
mm-hmm.
not knowing when to stop talking in a conversation, or running late to things, or stuff like that.
I hate, like, non-natural conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Because I, like, start thinking about it, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, I should talk, I need to talk, I'm talking too much, I should not have said that. But it's all, like, just relatively normal. I feel like it's normal anyways, like, normal things, but, like, it suddenly becomes very unnormal.
And then, so, like, I was always very confused how you would fall with the impulsivity thing, because I'm like, Jake is not impulsive, except when it comes to buying things. You do a ton of research, and this is the other thing. You do a ton of research when it comes to your hobbies. You want to buy the very best.
On the research.
Yes, and then, and you want to buy it now.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I've done all this research. I want to buy this thing now. And I'm like, Jake, just wait till next month. Like, the budget, like, you've already spent the money for this month. You need to wait till next month. You're like, no, Sarah, I need to buy this now. Yeah, so you do that. And then, you also buy things and, like, get really into it for a little while and then just stop. Or, like your Forge. You're like,
still haven't set it up yet. Yeah.
And you were waiting for it. You were really excited when everything came in.
My whole life, like, legitimately most of my life, I've wanted a Forge.
Yeah.
And I have one. I haven't set it up yet.
Yeah. And,
I think it might be one of those things where, like, pick up the laundry and I'm like, I can't. Like, I might, like, need your help to start it.
Yeah. And, like, and that's the other thing of, like, you kind of, like, you need me around to get things done in a way that I don't need you around to get things done.
Not on Friday.
What was on Friday?
Clean the whole house.
Yes, you did awesome for that. And part of that was because somebody was coming over.
That's the whole reason.
The whole reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, like, I don't know if it's an ADHD thing, but the guy that I follow on Instagram who has ADHD, that's his cleaning hack. Mm-hmm. Of, like, how does he get his house clean? He invites people over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but the impulsivity thing, where I was like, if you have anxiety and ADHD, you won't see that same impulsivity because...
Do you think I have anxiety too?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think I have anxiety?
Because you hate being late. You,
Don't most people hate being late?
I don't know. I don't. And it doesn't bother me when people are late either. So I might be the wrong person to ask about that. But you're also just much more like, you're pretty shy almost, where you do not like talking to new people. Like,
I don't like being around new people.
You don't like being around new people, let alone talking to them. Like, to get comfortable in social situations, I think you like to have like a beer or two to like really loosen up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't like I think you kind of like if you're going into a new situation, you kind of like plan what you're going to say a little bit.
Do you ever plan what you're going to say to somebody?
No.
Never? You just talk?
Like 99% of the time.
Like, if you're going to call somebody on the phone about something, like
if I have to make an appointment?
Yeah, like if you're gonna make an appointment, like at the doctor's.
No script.
Huh.
I call and I'm like, hey, I need to make an appointment, and they're like, here are the I also I kind of know how it should go, right? I find the number that I'm like, okay, I need to call them, and then I call and they're like, hi, I'm this is blah 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 at this place.
And then I would say what I have rehearsed in my head, like, hi, I'm Jake, I need this,
No
yada
rehearsal.
yada yada.
No rehearsal.
Bizarre.
Anxiety.
Never?
Never.
Bizarre.
And I make appointments all the time. I make doctor's appointments. I make dentist appointments. I make appointments for the vet, for the girls.
I don't.
And you don't.
Because I hate it.
Yeah, and it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is probably practice of I'm comfortable doing it. Therefore, I'm the one who does it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but when I was doing plant healthcare, I had to call people a lot, and still every time, I would know what I was going to say ahead of time. I really hate the situations where they're asking me questions. I'm like,
any kind of deviation.
I don't
from the
know.
Script.
Follow the script.
I am anxious.
Yeah. I got used to it, but I still had to have before I called them, I still was I had at least a routine of things that I would say, basically.
Yeah. And I think there's I also kind of have a routine of things I'm going to say, but that's because I know what I need going into it. If I'm making an appointment for the dogs, I'm able to go hi. Whether it's I know what I'm calling about, you know?
Even if you're calling somebody new.
What do you mean?
You're calling somebody new you've never talked to before about something, that you don't somebody you haven't called before. So it's not it's not a routine. You've never talked to this person about this thing. You're not going in with
with a plan, no.
Weird. You know, this is weird. Is there's not always something going on in your head. There's not always thought or talk or songs.
No.
There's always, at minimum, a song or a thought in my head.
I mean, it's hard for me to say, because I never think,
I can, almost definitively say there's always something going, you'll ask me, what I'm thinking about, and it's probably something super random, or God knows what. It's something.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason sometimes not always, but sometimes when I'm what are you thinking about, is because there's nothing going on up here. So I'm reaching for stimulation from you. And if
maybe you're just not very smart.
Yeah, that's always an option. And, like, if there's nothing there, then, like, I can, like, intentionally start, like, daydreaming or something. But, and sometimes I unintentionally start daydreaming.
Yeah, I'm always in a constant state of, like, daydream thought song.
I'm not. Oh.
Well, I'd say that's, like, a pretty good... We've gone an hour and 4 minutes.
Wow.
Which is generally about as long as we go on these things. Then I start this music playing, and then, like, while the music plays, I'll make it get a little bit louder, and then my voice gets louder, and then, like, Gavin's usually like, what? We're